Mr. Hodge! Thank you, Jellyby. I was expecting to be locked out. What time is it? 5:30. That is what I have. Well, what a bracing experience. The dawn, you know, unexpectedly lively. Fishes, birds, frogs, rabbits, and very beautiful. If only it did not occur so early in the day. I have brought Lady Thomasina a rabbit. Will you take it? It's dead. Yes, Thomasina loves a rabbit pie. You were missed, Mr. Hodge. I decided to sleep in last night in the boathouse. Did I see a carriage leaving the park? Captain Bryce's carriage, with Mr. and Mrs. Chater also. Gone? Yes, sir. And Lord Byron's horse was brought round at 4 o'clock. Lord Byron, too. Yes, sir. The house has been up and hopping. But I have his rabbit pistols. What am I to do with his rabbit pistols? You were looked for in your room. By whom? By her ladyship. In my room? I will tell her, your ladyship, you are returned. Jellyby, did Lord Byron leave a book for me? A book? He had the loan of a book from me. His lordship left nothing in his room, sir. Not a coin. Oh, well, I'm sure he would have left a coin if he'd had one. Jellyby, here is a half-guinea for you. Thank you very much, sir. What has occurred? The servants are told nothing, sir. Come, come, does a half-guinea buy nothing any more? Her ladyship encountered Mrs. Chater during the night. Where? On the threshold of Lord Byron's room. Ah, which one was leaving and which entering? Mrs. Chater was leaving Lord Byron's room. And where was Mr. Chater? Mr. Chater and Captain Bryce were drinking cherry brandy. They had the footman keep the fire up till 3 o'clock. There was a loud altercation upstairs, and... Well, Mr. Hodge, my lady, all this to shoot a hare. A rabbit? No, indeed, a hare, though very rabbit-like. By infusion? Yes, my lady. How dare you? I cannot be called to account for what was written in private and read without regard to propriety. Addressed to me. Left in my room. In the event of my death. Pah! What earthly use is a love letter from beyond the grave? As much surely as from this side of it. The second letter, however, was not addressed to your ladyship. I have a mother's right to open a letter addressed by you to my daughter, whether in the event of your life, your death, or your imbecility. What do you mean by writing to her of rice pudding when she has suffered the shock of violent death in our midst? Whose death? Yours, you wretch! Yes, I see. I do not know which is the madder of your ravings. One envelope full of rice pudding, the other of the most insolent familiarities regarding several parts of my body, but leave no doubt which is the more intolerable to me. Which? Oh, aren't we saucy when our bags are packed? Your friend has gone before you, and I have dispatched the harlot Chater and her husband, and also my brother for bringing them here. Such is the sentence, you see, for choosing unwisely in your acquaintance. Banishment. Lord Byron is a rake and a hypocrite, and the sooner he sails for the Levant, the sooner he will find society congenial to his character. It's been a night of reckoning. Indeed, I wished it had passed uneventfully, with you and Mr. Chater shooting each other with the decorum due to a civilized house. You have no secrets left, Mr. Hodge. They spilled out between shrieks and oaths and tears. It is fortunate that a lifetime's devotion to the sporting gun has halved my husband's hearing to the ear he sleeps on. I'm afraid I have no knowledge of what has occurred. Your trollop was discovered in Lord Byron's room. Ah, discovered by Mr. Chater. Who else? I am very sorry, madam, for having used your kindness to bring my unworthy friend to your notice. He will have to give an account of himself to me, you may be sure. I will do it. Yes, my lady, Lord Byron left a letter for you with the valet, sir. Thank you. When did he do so? As he was leaving, your ladyship. Allow me. I do not know if it is proper for you to receive a letter written in my house from someone not welcome in it. Very improper, I agree. Lord Byron's want of delicacy is a grief to his friends, among whom I no longer count myself. I will not read his letter until I've followed him through the gates. That may excuse the reading, but not the writing. Your ladyship should have lived in the Athens of Pericles. The philosophers would have fought the sculptors for your idle hour. Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really? Now there's a thing. A letter from Lord Byron, not to be read by a living soul. I will take my leave, madam, at the time of your desiring it. To the Indies? The Indies? Why? To follow the Chaytor, of course. She did not tell you. She did not exchange half a dozen words with me. I expect she did not like to waste the time. The Chaytor sails with Captain Bryce. Ah, as a member of the crew? No, as wife to Mr. Chaytor, plant gatherer to my brother's expedition. I knew he was no poet. I did not know it was botany under false colours. He is no more a botanist. My brother paid £50 to have him published, and he will pay £150 to have Mr. Chaytor picking flowers in the Indies for a year, while the wife plays mistress of the captain's quarters. Captain Bryce has fixed his passion on Mrs. Chaytor, and to take her on voyage he has not scrupled to deceive the Admiralty, the Linnean Society, and Sir Joseph Banks, botanist to His Majesty at Kew. Her passion is not as fixed as his. It is a defect of God's humour that he directs our hearts everywhere but to those who have a right to them. Indeed, madam, but is Mr. Chaytor deceived? He insists on it, and finds the proof of his wife's virtue in his eagerness to defend it. Captain Bryce is not deceived, but cannot help himself. He would die for her. I think, my lady, he would have Mr. Chaytor die for her. Indeed, I never knew a woman worth the duel, or the other way about. Your letter to me goes very ill with your conduct to Mrs. Chaytor, Mr. Hodge. I have had experience of being betrayed before the ink is dry, but to be betrayed before the pen is even dipped, and with the village notice board, what am I to think of such a performance? My lady, I was alone with my thoughts in the gazebo when Mrs. Chaytor ran me to ground, and I being in such a passion, in an agony of unrelieved desire. Oh! I thought in my madness that the Chaytor, with her skirts over her head, would give me the momentary illusion of the happiness to which I dared not put a face. I do not know when I have received a more unusual compliment, Mr. Hodge. I hope I am more than a match for Mrs. Chaytor with her head in a bucket. Does she wear drawers? She does. Yes, I have heard that drawers are being worn now. It is unnatural for women to be got up like jockeys. I cannot approve. I know nothing of Pericles or the Athenian philosophers. I can spare them an hour in my sitting room when I have bathed. 7 o'clock. Bring a book.